This story is from your grandpa. In the age when the Nile was young and the sun god Ra still watched the earth through eyes of living fire, there dwelt in the valley of Egypt two brothers whose hearts were as one and whose strength was the pride of the villages that slept along the riverbanks. The elder was Anubis, a man of broad shoulders and quiet power, keeper of fields and herds, husband to a woman of dark beauty and cunning smile. The younger was Bata, born of the same mother yet touched, the priest said, by a spark of divine breath, for his limbs moved with the grace of a leopard, and his voice carried the gentleness of the Nile wind at dawn. Together they tilled the soil, led the oxen through the furrows, and offered grain and milk to the gods, whose temples glimmered like gold dust beneath the desert sun. Each morning they rose before the ibis cried, and each evening they returned when the west burned crimson, and their hearts were bound with love deeper than the roots of papyrus. Yet as in all tales of men, peace is fragile as lotus petals upon the flood, and jealousy is a shadow that lengthens even in the brightest day. It was in the season when the river receded, and the earth cracked open with thirst, that fate planted its first seed. Anubis's wife, whose name was long forgotten by scribes who later feared to write it, watched the younger brother from the doorway as he guided the oxen through the fields. The sweat upon his bronze skin gleamed like oil beneath the sun. His laughter carried through the ripened grain, and desire kindled in her like a flame trapped beneath fine linen. She began to dream, and in her dreams Bata's hands were upon her, and the whisper of the river mingled with the beating of her heart. Desire, once kindled, burns reason to ash. Thus the wife of Anubis set her mind upon deceit. One day, when the elder brother was away in the granaries, she feigned illness and called to Bata, saying her limbs were weak and she could not fetch the barley for the bread. Dutiful and pure of heart, Bata came at once, bearing grain in his arms. She looked upon him and spoke soft words, words woven like nets. "Stay with me, O strong one, and you shall be lord of this house, and I will make you garments finer than the king's." But Bata's spirit recoiled as from a serpent. "You are as my mother," he said. "Never shall I betray my brother who trusts me." Shame stung her then, and shame turned swiftly to hate. As he left, she tore her own garments and lay upon the floor crying out until the servants came running. When Anubis returned, she told him that Bata had sought to defile her, that only by the mercy of the gods had she escaped his grasp. A storm rose in the heart of Anubis. His love for his brother darkened to fury. He took up his knife and waited behind the door of the stable. But the cattle, beloved of Bata, understood the hidden things of the earth, and one of them spoke with the voice of warning, saying, "Your brother stands with death in his hand." Astonished, Bata turned aside, and the knife meant for his heart cut only air. He fled across the fields, and Anubis pursued, his breath hot, his rage blind. Then the gods, who see both truth and lie, heard Bata's cry. Ra himself ordered the waters of the Nile to rise between them. A torrent burst from the soil, wide and deep as a sea. On one bank stood Anubis, panting, his knife glinting. On the other stood Bata, sorrow burning in his eyes. He called out, "Hear me, my brother. I am innocent. The woman has deceived you. But if ever the truth is revealed, you will know it by this sign. My heart shall be hidden in the blossom of a cedar tree in the valley of the gods. Should it fall, and you find it, place it in cool water, and I shall live again." Then, taking a shard of flint, he cut from himself the essence of manhood and cast it into the river as proof of purity, and the waters bore it away. Seeing this, the anger of Anubis broke like clay under rain. He fell to his knees and wept until the moon rose. Bata journeyed eastward beyond the known lands, through deserts of red stone and mountains where the wind wailed like the ghosts of kings. The gods took pity and built for him a dwelling of cedar and gold beside a clear pool guarded by 7 divine cows and the Ennead's messenger who took the form of a shadow. There he lived alone, speaking to the trees and listening to the whispers of the stars. Seasons turned. In the villages of men his name faded like a carving worn by sand. Yet the gods had not finished weaving his fate. One evening, when the sky burned purple and the pool mirrored the first stars, the 9 gods gathered and said, "This man is worthy of wife and lineage." From the heart of cedar they fashioned a woman radiant as the dawn. Her hair was black as the space between stars, her eyes blue as lapis, her voice soft as water over stone. When Bata beheld her, he knew peace for the first time since exile. They dwelt together, and the forest sang with their joy. But joy draws envy, as light draws moths. One day, while she bathed in the pool, a lock of her hair drifted upon the current and was carried down to the Nile, where it found its way to the washermen of Pharaoh. Its fragrance filled the air so sweetly that they trembled, believing it divine. They brought it before Pharaoh, who inhaled and said, "No mortal wears such scent. Find the woman to whom this hair belongs, for she shall be my queen." Messengers spread through the lands, and at last they came to the valley of the gods. When they saw the woman, their hearts faltered, for she shone like Hathor herself. They enticed her with promises of gold and splendor. She refused, loyal to Bata, but they brought word to Pharaoh, who sent soldiers to seize her. Seeing the spears and banners approach, she whispered to the pool, "Carry a message to my husband. Pharaoh calls, and I am taken." The water rippled once and grew still. Bata returned at dusk to find her gone. His heart split like a reed. He prayed to Ra, and the god answered through the voice of the wind, "All that begins must end, and all that ends may begin anew. Seek not vengeance, for the pattern is not yet complete." So Bata built for himself a temple and poured libations for the gods. In Pharaoh's palace, meanwhile, the woman became queen, yet her dreams were haunted by the echo of cedar trees and the eyes of the man she had loved. To silence the memory, she told Pharaoh that her first husband was a sorcerer who would come to destroy Egypt. Pharaoh, fearful, sent soldiers to find and slay the stranger who lived among the cedars. When the soldiers entered the valley, the trees themselves warned Bata. He changed into a bull of wondrous beauty, with hide gleaming like polished bronze and horns of ivory. He charged forth and scattered the soldiers. None dared strike him. When Pharaoh heard of this miracle, he sent for the bull to be brought alive to his stables, thinking to offer it to the gods. And so Bata, bound in silence and sorrow, was led to the palace where once his beloved dwelt as queen. She recognized the light in his eyes and trembled, for she knew the spirit within the bull. In secret she said to Pharaoh, "This bull is strange and dangerous. Sacrifice it, lest a curse fall upon Egypt." Pharaoh, weary of omens, agreed. The bull was led to the temple courtyard, incense rising, drums beating. As the blade touched his neck, Beta lifted his eyes to the heavens and spoke to the gods without sound. His blood fell upon the ground, and from that place 2 drops of crimson sprang into twin trees of acacia that grew taller than the palace itself. Their branches intertwined, whispering in the night winds. Pharaoh marveled, and the queen feigned wonder. though her heart quaked. One evening, as she walked beneath the acacias, a voice rustled through the leaves. "False one, I am near." Terrified, she ordered the trees cut down and fashioned into pillars for the palace gate. Yet when the wood was set upright, the fragrance of cedar filled the halls, and the whisper returned, echoing through stone and gold. That night she lay upon her couch and dreamed of the valley, of the river that divided brothers, of a heart beating within the tree. And far away in his house, Anubis awoke from sleep, hearing the cry of the gods across the wind, and knew that the sign foretold by Bata had come. He rose before dawn, left his wife to her shame, and journeyed by starlight to the valley of the gods. There, beneath the broken cedar, where once his brother had dwelt, he found a small seed pod shaped like a heart, pulsing faintly. He placed it in cool water, and at once the earth trembled, and the wind rose from all directions. The waters of the pool shimmered with light, and from them emerged Bata, in the form of a man, fair and strong as before. The brothers embraced, and Anubis wept, saying, "Forgive me, my brother. The gods blinded me." Bata smiled and said, "All things are as they must be." Yet destiny had one turn more to weave.